podcast.
You listen to Kendrick and Matt on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Oh, beautiful, man. What is up, people? Welcome back to the Slip and Dip podcast, episode 123. Coming to you on the heels of, well, you just saw him in the intro, the guy yelling, "Hey!" Deontay Wilder with his latest destruction of Luis Ortiz. Kendrick was out there. We're getting to that in just a second. On today's show, we'll run down the guests for you real quick. We got the Schmo on the program. You guys know who the Schmo is. If you're following this channel, I'm sure you guys do. And of course, good friend of the show, Mr. Steven the Warman Wright. And before we get into that, Kendrick, you were out there in Vegas. You saw Deontay go to work, man. What was it like?
It was crazy because, like, you knew he was going to find a way to solve the puzzle, but you didn't know how. And then, like he says, he has to be perfect for 2 seconds. That's exactly what it was. 2 seconds of greatness, and the rest is history. I talked to him on Monday, and he basically predicted it. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I will win a devastating faction. I only have to be perfect for 2 seconds. I will get my shot at Tyson Fury, and the rest of the division will get the message. Check, check, and check. And one thing he did that, I talked to him last night after the fight, that he kind of was putting in his own personal self he didn't want to put out there was, he knows now, last night was his 10th title defense in a row. When Mike Tyson tried to do it, he got Buster Douglas. When Lennox Lewis tried to do it, he got Hakeem Rockman. If it was that easy, everybody had 10 title defenses. He knows deep down that solidified him as being a Hall of Famer. That punch also punched his ticket.
Yeah. And
now, people don't talk about it as much in boxing, but that was a big deal.
Talk about punching tickets, man. Look at this. If you guys haven't seen this knockout, I don't know what Rocky looked at.
Out the hair was a trip.
Yeah, like just devastating power, man. And I had him down all 6 rounds. That's how I scored it. I know you gave him the first round. Listen, man, it's just like, even as it was playing out, like, I wasn't worried, like, for Deontay losing the fight. I'm like, okay, yep, he's given up half the fight already. Doesn't matter. Like, I was
just walking around like he's doing everything you're not supposed to do in a fight, and get away with it. Like, hey, I'm gonna hit you with this. I'm gonna hit you with this.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was.
I'm gonna hit you with this. Bam!
It's coming. Like, you just knew it was coming. Everybody knew it was coming, and it was just like, oh, we're just waiting for him to just try to unleash it. We're just waiting.
Last night, there was some stuff because they had us like sitting on the floor, and they had us moving up and stuff. Last night was crazy, boxing styles, what you expect. But like, we're gonna throw that right, Walter. When you gonna throw that right? I know it's Sleep. Let's got dynamite. And some dude from New Jersey with the accent talking crazy all night.
Oh my God, there's always at least one of those in a boxing crowd, or in an MMA crowd too, for that matter. But talk about what about this walkout gear, man?
The gear was on point for me. The
Super Shredder / Power Ranger / I don't know what the hell this is. It looked crazy.
But the music, though, that's to me, it's the music.
It felt like you were like, it felt like to me, it was like you're going to that final level of a video game where you're about to walk up on the final boss, and you know he's about to wreck your ass, and you're about to throw a controller because you had died about 50 times already.
Shut up.
That's what it felt like to me.
Oh, when you beat him, when you drop the controller, you fall out with it.
Oh, yeah, when you finally beat him.
Yeah. He seemed to be that character, but he was real life.
Yeah, right. And I
remember Mike Tyson in his prime. He would come out like some chains and stuff like that, sound effects.
Yeah, like the eerie, gritty, like, oh, some shit's about to go down type thing. I liked it. I was a big fan of that, no doubt.
When the hip hop music, like, I still think Deontay's best entrance was when he fought Tyson Fury. He came to J-Rock was there. Win, and he had the actual dances from the video, and then he stops halfway through, and then the WBC belt comes with the top of Staples Center in a case. That was gangster.
Yeah, that was pretty dope too.
It's one of those things, like, it was so cool that you didn't realize it, and then when I went back and watched the whole fight, I'm like, man, that shit was tight.
Right? Yeah. No, man. Entrances are super important. I think there's a lot of people that just kind of like, it's whatever. I think they are super important. It sets the tone. It's that last opportunity to get into your opponent's head too, especially when you do something over the top.
Or you pull on the floor Mayweather and you call your own audible. No, I'm good. Give me 10 minutes. I'm gonna take my time and make him wait.
100%. I loved it, man. I'm glad this whole thing played out the way it did. We got the Fury Wilder rematch on deck. I mean,
yeah, that's it. I literally just confirming my schedule earlier. Bruh, your boy is gonna have a hell of a February. Right now, it's looking like I start off with UFC 247, go to NBA All-Star Weekend in Chicago. So I'm in Houston for 247, NBA All-Star Weekend in Chicago the weekend after that. And then the weekend after that, Vegas for Wilder Fury 2, and it's my birthday weekend. And I've never been. I've been to Vegas every month but February. So check. Yeah. February's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, man, that's certainly a busy month. Busy month. I will be traveling to one event that month, and that will be for UFC 247, right? That's the John Jones card, right?
Yeah.
If I got my numbers correct. John Jones, Valentina, 2 title fights. They always bring 2 title fights to Texas for pay-per-views, so I'm happy about that.
See 2 future Hall of Famers.
Yep. 100%. 100% on that. Yeah, MMA has been quiet. I mean, they had Bellator had a card this weekend.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Bellator London.
I didn't take that back. Michael Venom Page.
Yep.
He snuck somebody.
Yep, he sure did. And he did exactly what he was expected to do when you have a guy that nobody knows about. And here it is right here for anybody to see.
I didn't know he did that.
Oh yeah. Landed the KO punch and didn't move and immediately started taunting, and that's what MVP does, and that's why he is super entertaining. Yeah, if it'll start.
I didn't even notice. I saw the highlight.
Yeah, there it is, right there, the overhand right, and then he doesn't move. He knows it's over. Yeah, MVP something else, man. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, you're fighting a lot of guys that aren't on your level. You got to do this against guys that are on your level or they're better than you. That's what a lot of people want to see. They want to see you in there against the Rory McDonalds. I saw a lot of people calling for that fight next. I'm not mad at that. Give me that.
He's a definition. Like, are you really that good? Why don't you go to the UFC?
Nah.
I know people don't think like that so much, but they've been asking people is a bad. It's a good analogy. Props to him for a productive combat sports career, but he came to UFC as an old man and he paid the price for it.
Yeah, I mean, he got to win. I don't care what anybody says. He beat Robbie.
That's the most least technical thing ever. Like, he got a gifted decision.
Nah, I don't agree with that at all. All right, so we're gonna get into these interviews with the Schmo and Stephen Wright
with the pros.
Well, before we do that, guys, if you're listening on iTunes, please leave us a review, 5 stars. Just something free you can do to help grow the visibility of the show. And if you want to show some more support, we got all the links up there. You see them on the screen for you, the Venmo, the Cash Apps. Or if you want something a little bit more tangible for your donation to the show, so to speak, pick yourself up a hoodie. We got them on sale right there for you. The link is in the description of the YouTube video on Teespring. Pick yourself up that logo hoodie. We got a couple more designs in the pipeline we're going to throw out as well pretty soon. But yeah, we got a couple of different options there for you. If you're a t-shirt guy or a gal, pick yourself up a t-shirt. And we have a bunch of different color options down here for you. You know, whatever color you want to rock with, pick yourself up one. If you want to rock that pink, look at that. We got a pink for you. Just saying. It's there for you. Shout out to our man Dan Tom picking up a hoodie. Came in. Look at the quality. You see the quality? You see the quality. It's there for you. Shout out to Dan Tom, one of the best analysts in the game. We appreciate you supporting the show, man.
Thanks for your support.
And yeah, that's it. We're going to get to the rest of the show, episode 123. 2 fantastic guests for you guys. Enjoy the rest. Till next week, we will be back with more great guests, more guests closer to us in the city. Teaser. All right. But yeah, that's it. We'll be back next week with more action for you. Till then. Peace.
Please welcome to the Slip and Dip podcast, making Slip and Dip debut. One of the best world all-around combat sports journalists in the game today. He's a huge social media sensation. He's on a first-name basis with Dana White and a litany of other MMA and boxing stars. Mr. Dave, the Schmo, Smolinson. I get it right.
That's one heck of an introduction there. Good work.
Schmo, like myself, was up in the house last night for the Deontay Wilder fight. What do you think about people that still haven't got the message? Deontay's like the outlier. Like, everybody look at what you look at for a technical boxer. If you're teaching your kid how to fight, don't teach him how to fight like Deontay Wilder. That dude has something special, and we saw that last night when he clearly was not caring about no cards, was headhunting, and once he got that one shot, like he says, famous quote, "I'd have to be perfect for 2 seconds." He was perfect for 2 seconds.
Well said. He couldn't have done any better. Like, seriously, he was losing every single round of that match. Maybe one round did he win. Those first 6 rounds, did you guys have him winning any of those rounds?
First, that's it.
I didn't have him win in the first round because he got caught with that left hook.
That's
Only
punch,
second
though.
round, maybe. Second round, maybe.
Four punches thrown in a round. But yeah, I had him losing every single round. Every single round.
He was being dominated. But as he says, and as you just mentioned, all it takes is one opening, one shot. That's how powerful he is. He was being outboxed the entire time. He even said it. Nobody wants to fight King Kong Ortiz. He's the boogeyman. I don't care about his age. He still came and showed up, and he still looked good. The guy's only has 2 losses in his pro career, and those are to Deontay Wilder's knockouts. Otherwise, he's usually knocking people out. Deontay Wilder is a specimen. We've never seen someone who can knock out the way he knocks out. It's just so unorthodox, but he gets it done. Unbelievable.
And
It really is unbelievable.
The crazy thing to me, Dave, is like, this is my 6th Deontay fight, and every time he unleashes a new wrinkle, like, I've never, because, like, you know, Deontay's kind of wild. Like, his name, he's a wild Wilder, but last night he got that knockout by going straight down the middle very perfectly, which is not his style. So it's like, even though it's little bitty stuff, it makes a big difference to that overall result. Because he didn't do none of that the first time.
Yeah. And Ortiz was holding his glove up to the side of his face, and he just cracked him right up the gut, right up the middle. And hey, whatever it is, he finds his openings, he gets the job done. He talks a big game and he backs up a big game. It's special.
How much does that excite you to be around people like that? Because I know, like yourself, you were pretty cool with Deontay on a personal basis. People don't realize, like, this guy puts in a lot of work. People just hear him talk, but they don't understand how, like, he really lives, eats, and bleeds boxing, and he's focused on being the best. I don't think people understand this. They all get into the Canelo or Lomachenko, the flashier fighters. When, if you look at his resume, it's slowly but surely, when you're doing stuff that Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson hadn't even done, you're getting in rare air in the heavyweight division.
It speaks for itself. He's putting himself in that conversation as you put him on the Mount Rushmore of greatest heavyweights of all time. His uniqueness, what he brings to the game, it's a unique skill set that who can you compare him to, right? All you can look at is how often he knocks other fighters out. Like, his knockout rate is absolutely incredible. And it's just, you got to call it what it is. That's why you had Mike Tyson watching this in the MGM. How many fights does Mike Tyson go to in person? He was there last night.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Then tell me this. You both can actually talk to this. I haven't spoke to Kendrick about pretty much anything that happened just yet. But as the fight was going on last night, like we said earlier, he was down all 6 rounds, at least on my card and a few other people I saw on social media. But did you have that same feeling that I did, that I was just like, oh, he could be down all 11 rounds, and in the 12th, he's still going to end it in that moment? Did you have that same feeling?
I was at the Fury fight, so I saw it firsthand. Because even that night, it's like, how's he going to find a way to do this? And then by him doing the Fury fights, like, he can do it.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan-like feel. Every time the ball's in his hand, the game's ending, you think you're going to win the game. Every moment throughout that fight, you knew that Deontay just needed one punch. Even when he was getting tagged, body shots, whatever, he hit his chest, he fist pumped, he was still in it. His feet were still there. He even made Ortiz wobble 1 or 2 times throughout the fight. Very subtle. Ortiz obviously didn't show any signs, really, and he clipped him when he got him in the 7th round. With Fury, that cut, if you want to talk MMA, them stopping the Nate Diaz BMF title fight and seeing that cut over Tyson Fury's fight against Otto Wallin, hey, that is scar tissue that Deontay Wilder could open up. Just saying.
That's a good point. That's a damn good point. I mean, the thing, I guess, with that, though, luckily for Fury, is that Deontay's not coming with volume to open up that cut, though. He's just going to try to put you on your ass regardless. But, yeah. I don't know. It's a hell of a performance, man. I'm glad that there was no shenanigans, at least on the scorecards, because the actual judges actually had the right thing going. I don't know if you guys saw the guy that was doing the live scoring on the unofficial official scorecard had Deontay winning. Like, you're the only person in the world that had him winning. I don't understand what you're doing. But, I'm just glad that, Deontay got it done, and now we have that highly anticipated rematch on the
Left no
horizon.
doubts. Left no doubts.
Yes, 100%. In the rematch, who do you have? Between Fury and Wilder, that is, to be clear.
The only way to answer that question is by proposing the question to Tyson Fury. Are you going to let this guy get within range and tag you again? Because if Tyson Fury could dance around the ring and just keep this guy at bay and not get hit like he got hit those 2 times and got dropped, he can outbox Deontay Wilder, no question. Deontay Wilder, to go back to him, he isn't the flashiest guy. He doesn't have the best style. He's not the most... he's not the most technic savvy, but he is freaking smart. Very underrated how smart his IQ is inside the ring. And obviously he's got power we've never arguably seen before.
100%. 100%. Yeah, man. So let's switch gears a little bit here. Let's talk the Schmo, man. You're on the show for the first time. We appreciate your time. And I just want to get to know a little bit more about you, man. Like, how did you come to, I guess let's back up. When did you first become interested in doing what you do as a reporter and a journalist?
Sports needed change a long time ago, and the Schmo just wanted to go out there and showcase the personalities of these, which are heroes to a lot of young kids, showcase their personalities. What I love about the fight game, it's not team-oriented. Still love covering the NFL and NBA, and that's where the Schmo really started, NFL and NBA. But with fighters, our first one that we worked with, boxer Caleb Plant, MMA fighter TJ Dillashaw, working with them, you're only as good as your next fight. And doing those individual sports later in my life, the triathlon type sports, the individual sports, and then keeping the same discipline and background to their subjects, whether it's any form of grappling or striking, the match was made in heaven.
I like it. I like what you do, because, like, I remember the first time I saw one of your videos, I was like, who is this dude and why is he doing this? And then I was like, all right, let me digest the character a little bit. Let me see what's really going on here. And I got over the initial, the shock value that some people have initially when they see your videos. And I was like, okay, this dude, he's actually asking, like, really good questions. He's actually pulling out stuff that some people can't pull out. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start watching more and more. And I appreciate what you do, man. Like you said, you are trying to, I guess, change it up a little bit. And you do get things out of guys that other people aren't able to get out. So good job on doing that.
Appreciate that. And I wouldn't say you guys are necessarily, because I know, well, I could speak for Kendrick, I know you're not. But some people just don't have the passion behind it, or just take a lazy approach to it. Mm-hmm. Hey, we're all sitting in rooms right now talking sports. We're clearly not lazy. What can I say?
Right.
The one thing I like about you is your well-roundedness, because from behind the scenes politics to dealing with PR people, to how different it is from combat sports world to, I won't say the real sports world, but to the big four, how things are very corporate and you can look at somebody wrong. Boom! versus MMA, you got the politics, and you got boxing, which is just like a free-for-all, and every man for themselves, and you got everybody that has a YouTube channel thinking they're calling themselves new media.
It's mind-boggling. It's the Toys R Us mentality. Toys R Us didn't believe in the internet 2000. They let Amazon handle all their distribution and fulfillment. You don't adapt, you die. You got to be on YouTube for the kids. How else are they going to watch it? Come on. You think they're going to watch your so many people are cutting the cords. Do you think they're going to just be dedicated to watch your channel on your time? No, they'd rather consume the content any place, anytime, on their time, their location, their smartphone, their tablet, their device. You got to cater to those kids.
Does it trip you out how the boxing people are trying to downplay at the end of the day that KSI and Logan Paul outsold Canelo, outsold Deontay, outsold Tyson Fury? Nobody want to talk about that, and they really did sell those tickets. As you know, last night they gave tickets away, and I know they gave tickets away for the Fury. They didn't get no tickets away for KSI and Logan Paul, and they had sold them. And my man here was a skeptic. I told him they're entertainers. I was entertained. I was expecting the fight. What do you think about them too? Also, I thought what made it really win over is that they really took it seriously. They got in shape, got legit strength and conditioning coaches, and they legitimately went at it. So it made them. And one of them didn't take it serious, it wouldn't have went off the way. And that was funny. Then you see the low blows and 10-8 rounds get turned to 8-8 rounds. I was entertained. It was hilarious to me.
Oh, absolutely. But they did not bring new boxing fans. And it just shows you the state of boxing. They didn't bring any new boxing fans. Their skill level was nowhere near the level of professional boxers. Yet it shows you what's wrong with the sport of boxing and catering to the young digital audience. They don't give two bleeps about it. It's obvious.
Exactly. That was the biggest thing about that for me, is that so many talking heads on networks and whatever were saying, oh, this is going to usher in a new wave of boxing fans. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. This is just a big
effort.
It's a big ass YouTube video is what it is. This is their latest YouTube video project.
And they made freaking bank on their YouTube videos. Let me tell you, the Schmo even made some money off of that. Not like those guys, though.
100%, man. 100%. I mean, it was a spectacle. It was a show. Like I said, I called it a circus,
Gotta feel bad for Devin Haney. They were just watching their phones and doing. If he would have knocked out this guy, it was a perfect opportunity. Yeah, did he box well? I mean, he's technical, he's great, but it wasn't his best performance. And if he could have knocked this guy out, maybe he could have gotten new fans. It's his generation. It sucks for a guy like him. He deserves it too.
100%. Yeah, like that fight should have been like an absolute squash match for whoever Devin Haney was scheduled to fight or whatever. Like it should have been a knockout. Like one of those. They're never going to outright say, hey, we're going to schedule a knockout for you. But it should have been one of those type matches. You know what I mean? Because they do that in boxing. You never see that in MMA. At least in the UFC, you don't. You
got to respect Dana White. The best fighters fight the best fighters.
Yes, 100%. 100%, yeah. Speaking of Dana White, that's somebody you have a pretty good relationship with. Now, did you have a good relationship with him beforehand, or was it just like he saw your work and he appreciated what you did and, you get to do all these cool things with him?
The Schmoment that happened was the press conference because he didn't know the Schmo existed. The Schmo had requested over 100 times to interview that guy. Oh, it fell on deaf ears. Who the hell is this guy? No respect until that press conference. When I got the reaction, he finally knew who the Schmo was all about, gave the Schmo an opportunity. The Schmo hit it out of the park, and we built a friendship from there on forward.
What do you think about the UFC when it's like WWE, but it's real life? It's like not scripted. What I mean by this is like the rankings. Like they should have you could do better than that. Us can do better than all them. The rankings, and then it's like I won't say hold people accountable, but people like. They don't. Everybody's all about the money fight, but it's like, is this really a sport when somebody like Corey Anderson gets overlooked because his style's not appealing, but he keeps winning? Or are we talking?
But here's the beauty behind MMA. You just talked about Corey Anderson, but what about Jan Blachowicz? Jan Blachowicz deserves it arguably just as much as Corey Anderson, and then you can make the same case for Dominic Reyes. You have 3 suitable guys for John Bones Jones to fight, and there's obviously some form of level of negotiation, which creates some sort of level of politic, but those 3 guys, all 3 of them, you can make an acceptable case, deserve it, and at least 2 of the 3 should, you would think, get a chance to fight Jones.
Yeah, I know you keep up with MMA just like we do. How much longer you give John Jones before somebody have his number? I think it's within the next 2. It would be 3.5 to 4 had he not been on the ooh-wee. But since he was, I give him 2 years. Somebody's got his number, and it's like it's either one of these three guys or somebody that's like just getting in that studied him that's gonna have a similar
Israel
build.
Adesanya, the style bender, if they have that fight 2021,
He's
and
not big enough. If he was big enough, I would give it to him.
You ever meet him?
I haven't been up on him but once.
He might. Let me tell you this right now. Stylebender wants to put on the weight and gets up to 205. He's big enough, guarantee it.
Yeah, that would be the most interesting one on paper for me. My thing is with the whole thing what John is doing. Like, I get he's really not interested in these guys. Like, they really don't get him excited or whatever. But that's where you have to put on the promoter hat in a way. And not actually go out in public and say those things, because now people don't want to watch the fight when it gets scheduled.
Who's not going to be watching that fight February 8th? Who's not watching that UFC fight?
Are you going to be in February by chance? Not to get on subject, we both going to be there. It'll be the first time since we've been doing the show for a year and a half, that we both been at an event. Because usually one or the other go. We haven't both been. You going to be in Houston?
You think the Schmo's not going to be there?
I was like, that's an obvious answer right there. But yeah, like, I mean, of course there's going to be a lot of people tuning in on February 8th, but there's going to be a certain group of people that are just going to be like, all right, I'll catch the YouTube or the Twitter highlight at the end of it and not pay for the event, you know?
Understood, but there's some good fights. There's some good fights on that fight card.
There are.
I also entered KGB Lee. I got to go to the PI Institute from behind the scenes, and she's definitely getting ready for her shot. She took her loss in stride. Like, basically, like, not only do I have to get better to beat this lady, but I have to give myself at least a chance to beat Valentina. It's just crazy how much, like, the Valentina cloud is over that whole division, because it's like Valentina and everybody else. And I think that's the only division out of all of them that it's like the champion is so far ahead of everybody.
Valentina's on a different level. You look at what she did to Joanna Jędrzejczyk multiple times. Obviously, it was at her weight class, but the level of technicality in her striking, her stand-up game, there's just no one at that weight that's on the same level as her. Look at the levels to the striking game. Look at Joanna, what she did to Michelle Waterson. Look at the levels in that. That's what Valentina has over her division. That's for sure.
And the fact that she has a chin, because Amanda Nunes has knocked out everybody she's been in the ring with in the last 3 years. Amanda
Nunes is the GOAT. Exactly. Great point. Great victory. Great point. Yeah. Amanda Nunes is arguably the GOAT. She might be the GOAT. Greatest woman of all time. She's the GOAT.
I've been quoted that. I'm up that 100%, because look at her resume. The only people you can compare her to, she's knocked them out in highlight reel fashion. She basically did what they do to people and done it to them. Except for Ronda, she's got her out of there. Cyborg, she cyborg. She Holly homed. What else did she do? She Misha. Like, she's done everything you can do to have like an almost impeccable resume. The only thing I think just for SNG she should do now that she's about to fight Jermaine is beat Kat Zingano and knock her out, just because I know she's not in the promotion, just to avenge that last loss that people were talking about.
Zero interest in that fight for me. I mean, like Kat Zingano's not on that level anymore. She's not. Sorry. I mean, her run was if Amanda Nunes would have somehow got a rematch with her around, when was it? Right around when Kat lost to Ronda? Right around that time? Then I'd be like, all right, let's see it. Now? I don't know. I like Kat. Just I don't think she's on that level anymore. I don't know.
Who's your favorite person to watch live?
I got multiple. What sports? We're
going MMA, boxing, and basketball. Mine's is right now Deontay, now that Floyd's gone, because I never know what I'm going to see. Basketball right now, since I'm a Kobe guy. Kobe was that guy. Now basketball, the guy that I have to watch, that I've only seen him play once live, is Trae Young. Love watching him, but since I'm in Dallas, I'm starting to lean towards Luka, because every time I see him, he gets better. And then in MMA, I don't know. MMA, I go back and forth. But I think probably right now is Joanna, because I've seen two of her best performances. I saw her when she got the belt in Dallas, and I saw her when she put them hands on Jessica Andrade, and she looked like Lomachenko.
What you got, Schmo? What you got?
All right, we'll start with MMA. Any fight card with Conor McGregor is going to be fire because there's nobody who could draw a gate. Every big fighter wants to be in that fight card. It's in a destination city. Any Conor card is the card the Schmo wants to be at. Let's talk about the two guys, and can't wait for the February fight. It's Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, the two most entertaining guys to be part of on any fight week right now. Let's go. Basketball. Born and raised, diehard, watched him in the 90s, the GOAT, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, his airness, play basketball. The closest thing to him would be LeBron James. So I would say it's to watch LeBron James play basketball now.
Nice. I like it, man. I guess I'll run down mine real quick. MMA-wise, right now, in this moment, for active fighters, I like the Conor answer because I've covered multiple Conor cards, and they were all ridiculous. But I will say right now, Stylebender for me. Boxing, Deontay Wilder. And then basketball, I'm gonna go. I mean, I'm a huge Lakers fan. I've been a Lakers fan my entire life. Of course, LeBron will be on that list. But right now, I'm gonna say Luka, man. Being in a DFW, living in DFW, he's incredibly fun to watch. Incredibly fun to watch.
Oh, it's not Jalen Brunson. I'm sorry he was drafted after him last year, but he's a good, steady point guard off the bench, or when you need him to start.
This is a basketball question, Schmo. People, because I got as you know, I cover the NBA as well. I got to write a story sooner or later about the trade. People don't realize that trade literally could be even as close as you can be. It won't be no Dirk for a tractor trailer type crap. Because like if Cam Reddish pans out to be the All-Star, I'm not high on him, but a lot of people are. If he's half of what people think that he is, the way Trae Young is and the durability he's showing, even though he's little, I think he could be pretty close to a tie as you can get with Luka's ceiling and Trae Young's ceiling being as high as they are.
It's two guys that are capable of 15, 20 years down the road be like, that's two Hall of Famers traded for each other before it's right. It's got that kind of potential. It's got to unfold. Luka is definitely the real deal, no doubt about it. Trae, I still think needs to prove it a little bit more. Same way Steph Curry had to prove it a little bit more. Steph Curry playing, durability for sure.
Yeah, he got the skill set, and see, Cam Reddish is just a bonus because if he turns out to be, say, Michael Finley, I think that'd be pretty close to a wash. Don't you think for the trade?
Michael Finley went to the same high school as the Schmo's father.
Oh, really?
Before he went to Wisconsin for undergrad, where the Schmo's mother went to college.
So did your dad a hooper? Because like Doc Rivers went there.
Doc Rivers went there. My dad was a few years older. No, my dad was not a hooper, but.
That's funny. That's funny. So yeah, speaking of which, I guess like getting the Schmo and the Schmo family involved in athletics. I like how you actually kind of do these things like we saw with Kevin Lee. You got in there and wrestled with him a little bit. Now, I know you made this challenge to Ariel Helwani on your Twitter. I saw that little video. Like, are you sandbagging here? Are you really trying to get Ariel hurt? What's going on? Because I know you get some stuff.
$25,000 for charity. Who else does that? Listen, you got to understand. The Schmo already said it on this podcast. You have to listen to the fans. Every single day on the Schmo's YouTube videos, we get the same comments, all caps. We want to see the Schmo versus Ariel Helwani into an 165-pound charity grappling match. Now think about it. Charity grappling match. It's for charity. It's grappling. I'm not going to kill him. He's not going to kill me. There's likely not going to be any bloodshed unless it's accidental. I mean, it's that, the nose is the nose. What can I say? What can the Schmo say? $25,000 Schmo could raise for charity. Just listening to the fans. Why not? What do we have to lose here? Let's listen to the fans.
I like it.
What do you think about the state of MMA, covering MMA? Because a lot of people, when I say I cover MMA, they like have all these questions, and as me and Matt, even like the last year, it's changed. It's kind of like it's always changing. It's not like covering NBA or the NFL when and you have hardcore guidelines. It's weird.
The answer is very simple. You're only as good as your next fight. So the guys that you love, the style benders, the Conor McGregors, are only as good as their next fight. There's drama built in, and the Schmo loves to sell it.
Yeah, man. I like it. And I think one thing also with what we see, there's always different angles being approached when it comes to MMA coverage. And I think it's a good and a bad thing because there's virtually no full-time jobs covering MMA. Virtually none. Like maybe a handful, at least from like the media side. So we're always trying to find what's going to click, what's going to connect with fans, what's going to help us get some ad revenue. Let's get some YouTube viewership going, while also not steering too far away from being genuine in a way to like really get good stuff from these guys. You know what I mean? Did I lose everybody on that? I don't know.
Yeah, you just gotta be yourself, man. You just gotta be yourself, and the rest will come.
Yeah.
Man, I'm looking forward to cover. We've done boxing. I'm looking forward to cover an MMA event together because we're outliers, so we kind of stand out.
It's all right. We'll say hello. When will I see you next? Which boxing fights next on your radar?
I'm going into Teofimo Lopez. It's technically the Terrence Crawford card, but I call it the Teofimo card because it's in New York.
Schmo's bummed. I think that's the same week as UFC 245.
It's the same night. I would be in opposite because we're going to have Jeff Neal on, and Jeff Neal's fighting on that card. And I I want you to go see you knock that fool out, but I'll be in New York.
Oh, shoot. He's fighting Platinum Mike Perry.
Yeah. I talked to him an hour ago, and I was telling him like, yeah, I'll be at MSG while y'all be at T-Mobile.
Damn. Get you out of here on this. I'll ask you, who do you like winning that fight? Teofimo?
I got Teofimo. I think people think he looked bad because that Asian dude was tall, awkward, and tough. And then
that was
he
a tough
get him out of
matchup.
there. He did what he had to do, and he got the win. Most people lose that fight.
Oh, yeah, he was definitely underestimated. What do you think?
I mean,
Comey's no joke, though.
Comey's tough.
Yeah, he's tough. He's tough. But, yeah, I mean, until I see Teofimo actually on the canvas or something, I'm rolling with that dude. I'm rolling with him.
But Comey could be a guy you think that could put him on the canvas?
I don't know.
That's why we see the fights. I love this.
That's one of my favorite quotes. That's why they play the damn game.
We'll say this: Teofimo is one of the Schmo's favorite boxers to interview. Not afraid to say it.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. We were this close to getting him on tonight. We got to go next week. But that was kind of cool.
Tell him when he's on. The Schmo says, "What's up?"
Okay, we sure will.
100%.
Thank you for coming on, brother. I know you're a busy guy, just like we are. Like the slow.
We'll do it again. Hey, I can't wait to see you guys in person. Houston, it sounds like.
Yes.
February.
100%.
Let's go. Stay tuned for the Black Beast, Derek Lewis.
Yes.
Please welcome back to the Slip and Dip podcast. Friend of the show. One of the best MMA trainers in the world today. Screw that. Combat sports trainers in the world today. / promoter, Mr. Steven, Warman Wright.
How y'all doing?
Doing good, man. Before we get to MMA, should Jason Garrett be fired? Yes or no? I don't blame today's loss on him, but the season, you can't be starting off slow the way they be doing. I'm still hot about that.
Finish the year. Of course, see what you got. It's a weird
9-7.
situation because let me put it this way: right now, I would prize stability over anything as a coaching staff. I think the big mistake that's going on in the NFL right now is everyone thinks that there's another savior around the corner, that there's another McVay around the corner, and I think that that's just being proven to not be the case. The best coaches are coaches who have been in the position for a really long time. So, like, I look at the Bengals situation. They were like, Lewis not making the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't made the playoffs. When he makes the playoffs, he hasn't won a game. But he had them as a winning, stable franchise for a long time, and that's not in the Bengals' history. That's not the norm. I don't think that everybody should win the Super Bowl. I think that that's a rare thing. The idea that there is a new coach that you just haven't hired that's going to make everything work, and there's a new quarterback that you need to pick on your first pick that's going to make everything work. I think that's the main reason why the NFL is what it is. We have the least effective coaching, and we have the same teams every single year. The only change is finally with Lamar Jackson, you've got somebody who at least adds a dimension, and Mahomes, neither guy being top 10 picks, adds a dimension at quarterback that makes us wonder what the future of the sport's going to be. But for the most part, everybody that's been drafted in the top 10 has struggled, with the exception of like Cam had that super year a while ago, but he just struggled with injuries since that year. I mean, I'll be here all day on football, but I do think that there's a mistake that's happening in the NFL with get rid of a coach, because there's another guy who's going to make it work for sure. That just hasn't proven to be the case.
100%.
Since you got your Ultimate Fighter shirt on, when will we see you in the octagon? Who's some of your clients that you got about to fight in some big fights, and where?
I worked with Kamaru Usman last month. This month I've been just busy. Jared Rochold won two fights, so he's going to be in the PFL final. Yeah. So definitely proud of him. And then I mentioned you guys before, but Mark and Montana Stewart have come back around and have been training with me again. So of course that's cool, because I had them since they were 18 years old. So it's always cool to have that in the gym. And then April Anguiano, who's like the future, for me. She's 20 years old. She's 3-0. Undefeated as a pro and amateur. She just won a Combate, a few weeks ago. So, I just
stay.
Is she? What's up?
What class is she?
Well, she will be at 115, but we were in a period of time where we were going to stop and get her weight off, because she likes to eat. She gets big. She's one of my favorite boxers when I was growing up. I was the biggest Vargas fan ever. And Vargas had, those kind of, eating, problems, and she doesn't drink, but like he was eating and drinking, but when it came down to it, he'd always get the weight off. She has that same, when it's off season, just kind of goes after it. So we were going to take a break, and then Combate came to her backyard. She's from Garland, and I was like, well, I got to see if we can make this happen. So we took that fight, and she moved to 3-0, and it's more of a war than we'd like, because she is really slick, but the girl just kept kind of doing 1-2s and running forward. So we just scored the bigger shots in between, and then once we had it in center in rounds 2 and 3, we were able to have a lot of success. So definitely proud of all my athletes, and had a couple others. Caleb Abbott Hall, he just won USMT as far as Muay Thai goes for the country. He won national championships the other day, as did one of my other kickboxers, Anthony Riles. I truly believe that these guys, whether they go into MMA or kickboxing, they've got special futures. So that's just my squad being busy. That's me.
What about our man Razook?
Oh, so we're still going through that legal situation. We feel confident, in the evidence that we have. But the scariest and the most difficult thing that people don't understand about the law is that you want it to be fast, and it is slow. It takes a long time, and there's a lot of delays. We thought we would have been done cleared up. You know what I'm saying? We're ready for that opportunity to prove that we didn't do what was, caused against us. And I say we because, I'm in it with my athletes no matter what. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't there on that night, but it's just one of those things where it's, you love your guys and them, and there are fighters that I have where I'm like, okay, you got a history of making questionable decisions. And then I've got Razak, who does not have that history. So, when that came up, I was like, okay, all we can do is make our case and then hopefully get our day in court so we can clear your name.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's what you call ride or die.
Yeah, man. I remember when the whole thing first came out. I remember speaking to him at Media Day. Because he's been on the show a couple of times. He's actually on the show, I think, right around before that fight against Nico, right? You fought Nico,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
And he came on right before that, and he was super cool and everything. And then I remember speaking to him at Media Day, and he was kind of really reserved. So I mean, obviously he knew about it. But it was just whoa, what's going on? This is kind of weird. He didn't want to talk to anybody. I think he was just really already frustrated with knowing what was kind of come down the pipe.
Yeah, I mean, it's your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Those accusations, again, we believe we're 100% innocent, and we have the, looking for a day in court to prove it. But what happens to your name doesn't go away. You know what I'm saying? You're still associated with that no matter what. And that's the scary thing, So in the end, the only thing we can do as far as that situation goes is have our day in court, lay our evidence out, and then let the world know that we've got nothing to hide and we believe we didn't do anything wrong.
For sure. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the most recent thing that happened in the combat sports world. Biggest thing, that is Deontay Wilder going out there, getting it done once again. I had him losing every single round on my scorecard.
Any rational person should have.
Yes.
And I'd have won the first round.
I don't see how he won the first round.
He won on the judge card.
Yeah, I don't see how I'm just saying. But but anyways, it just seems like Deontay, obviously, he's not concerned with volume. He's not concerned with trying to outbox anybody. He's just looking for that one opportunity, and that's really all he needs. Were you concerned at all that he wasn't going to find that opening as this fight was unfolding?
So I didn't get to watch it. I was working the Glory event, so I didn't get to watch it as it happened.
Okay.
So then I'm going on Twitter, and then I'm following, and slowly it's like rounds 1, 2, 3. So I didn't get to watch it till later. And then as I get to round 6, and then people are like, he's won every single round. And then I told the kid who was sitting next in front of me, I was like, man, it's looking like Wilder's gonna lose. And then someone was like, he's won by KO. Like they were ahead of their stream because I was going through it slow. So then I then got to see it later, and I was like, it really is exactly what you would expect from this fight. Ortiz proved in the first one that he is the most consistent boxer. He's going to find openings and score offense, but he also proved that he's not the best hitter. So he'll score in spots, but he can't kill you. Whereas Wilder found his moment, and he really did a good job of the finish because he played with a distraction jab. It didn't really score. He just kept putting it out there, and then he made Ortiz kind of bat back with it. And then the sneaky thing, and a lot of people don't notice this, is he moved his right leg backwards. So when he moved the right leg back, it presented an opportunity for Ortiz to fill the gap, thinking that, okay, I'm safe to move in here because this jab isn't a threat. And then, of course, when the touch of death gets you, it's that. But too much Wilder's credit, for me, he is the best punching heavyweight that I've seen since Tyson. I think Tyson had more ways that he could do it, but as far as like what I've seen, in my life, he's got to be mentioned in the top 5 killers at heavyweight, no matter how you feel. Now, again, I am a Tyson Fury guy, and I think Fury's going to win when they have the rematch. I see something that's special. You gotta give it up, and I think that this is not something that's. He's a guy who comes out. He's confident. He came out, with his White Ranger / Yu-Gi-Oh outfit, and went out there, put on a show in his walkout. Was losing the fight, looking for his moment. His question is, okay, you've got 36 minutes to not get killed. Can you do it? And the answer has been no for his whole career. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy he can start you. So just a special talent. And he's not the best finisher, but he will get the finish, because that was his cleanest KO. A lot of times he's got some of those, but he also has some slaps where he's just kind of overwhelming you and gets you out of there too. He can go street with it. So he is a compelling figure in the heavyweight division. This is the best heavyweight boxing's been probably since early 90s. So I really, really like what he brings to boxing.
Steve, do you think it's crazy that Deontay, he cocks his right hand like a gun? He basically, I always tell people, because people in boxing, I was there at the fight last night, man, Deontay don't got no boxing skills. He just got power. But he's an outlier. But if you're his manager like JD's, do you tell him to telegraph, or it doesn't matter because it's that lethal? Because they know it's coming, but nobody's been able to do anything about it, including your man Tyson Fury, who touched that canvas twice.
Okay, so I got 2 thoughts. If someone says he doesn't have skill, he just has power, Ortiz has skill, and he killed Ortiz. So it's like your skill only matters as long as you're still on your feet, So I think that he is a kind of guy who really can, and I can't stress this enough, he understands that I'm still in every fight, no matter what the scorecard is. So that ability alone makes him dangerous for the whole 36. And he showed his best boxing. I remember it's Severn, early on. And I remember when he first won the title, because that one did go the distance, and he knocked him on the rematch. But I remember I was like, he showed me more boxing than I thought he had. because when he won bronze, he basically won it because he's so tall and long, and he was able to score straight shots and stay away from people. And then he, went on that bum tour to get his record up of KOs, and I was like, all right, this guy hasn't been groomed to be great. But I thought the Stavern, he really did get blessed with the right kind of heavyweight division when he came up, because the guys that he was able to beat weren't guys that could hurt him with the punches, and he could develop that kill against really, really good guys. So sometimes it's just time and space. When your championship reign is, it helps you to become the fighter that you are. And I really, really believe that even the little things like telegraphing the right hand and all that doesn't matter if he gets it once. You know what I'm saying? Like if the goal is to score consistently, it's going to be held in a different way, and maybe it doesn't crack the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like that, Jermaine Taylor had a similar type of right hand where it's like it looked like he was pulling back a bow and arrow, but Jermaine had an educated left hand. Like he could beat you with your left. He just jabs and hooks, and he could play that game. And when he threw his two, it was okay, but it didn't kill people. Wilder, his lead hand doesn't score that much, but when his two touches you, you're done. So he's a flawed champion, and in history of combat sports, that's always the best. There's nothing better than when you have a charismatic, flawed champion, because a lot of people think they can beat it. So I'll give you an example. Khabib is not a charismatic champion. He is a champion that the flaw that he does have, you think you can get a hold of him, and then he gets a hold of you, and you realize this is not like I practice. This guy's a different animal. Yeah. So
that's happened just to Poirier.
his appeal is just more. He reaches a people group that we're not used to. Reaches Russian, reaches Muslims. His appeal is different, but he doesn't bring that. Okay, I just have to do this to beat him. You know what I'm saying? John Jones, same thing. I just got to do this to beat him. When you look at the history of these guys, it's like, all right, I don't want to see what you guys are going to try, because these guys are just going to keep beating you or whatever you do, because they're that kind of special. Wilder is in a different camp. Wilder has showed the signs you could beat him if you do this. He just escapes. You know what I'm saying? He just escapes. So when you get knocked out, you're like, man, I was doing great, but I got knocked out.
Yeah.
If we ran it back, I'd win. You know what I'm saying? If we ran it back, he's flawed. Like you think that you've got those opportunities. And that's big for making fights, because if he was just killing people and he had the boxing skill, that amount of people who would be interested in that fight would go way down. You need it. It's very important to have that vulnerability.
Before Matt asked you a quick question, he told me a quote, and I never heard him really say it publicly, but he said it all week. He's like, you have to be better. You have to be perfect for 36 minutes. I have to be perfect for 2 seconds. He literally was perfect for 2 seconds last night, and that was it.
For sure. I mean, that's dead on. Like he knows it. He knows that he's got that. It could be round 12, like it was, with Fury. Everything looks like he's going to lose, then bang. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a different animal, So I mean, I love having him in boxing. Like it's just a fun time, and I really want to see. People were ruling out that him and Joshua meeting is ever going to happen. I like his chances I like Joshua's chances in that fight. I just need to see it happen. We've got a perfect set where we've got these heavyweight guys that are all different. You look at Ruiz. He's, there's memes about him, and all of a sudden you see how Ruiz looks completely different now. You know what I'm saying? Ruiz is like a plus size model. Like he is just smooth, haircut all the time, like driving for, like he's just completely changed since that fight. But like he brings his combination, get in the pocket style, still has a little bit of stomach, but he brings something different. And then you've got the pure boxer puncher, and switch stances, and Tyson Fury, a different level of boxer. Like he's super skilled. And you've got Joshua, who looks the part. You want Joshua to be your heavyweight Champion. Joshua walks in the room and you say, hey, that guy's heavyweight champion. Everybody's like, makes sense to me. Like it's great to have these figures at the top, and and the other guys, they just kind of add good flavor right below. If you look at guys like the English guys, kind of White and all those kind of guys, they're good people to present good opposition and good fights. I don't think that they're going to beat these guys, and of course we saw what happened when White fought Joshua. But it's just such a fun mix of what boxing is right now. Cruisers moving up, it's just fun time. So really, really be paying attention to boxing right now. It's killing it. When the heavyweight division in boxing is good, boxing's good.
100%. Could not agree more with that statement right there, man. That's what I grew up watching was heavyweight boxing when it was great. Like, that's what made it interesting. And then, of course, if you have other stars below that and all these other weight classes, like I like what Deontay said in the post-fight last night when Andreas asked him about, him not being included in the pound-for-pound rankings. And he was like, look, we're heavyweights. We can't go up and down. So I don't think that should matter to heavyweights, which is, I think, is pretty accurate because, like, heavyweights should always kind of just be on their own, like, plane in a way, so to speak, because – like you were mentioning, they're all going to have different holes. They're all going to have different games that they can bring. It's very rare that you get one guy at the top of the heavyweight division that can do everything well. Like there always seems to be somebody with like a big thing that can be exploited.
Well, but the things they have that baddest man on the planet label. You don't hear like Conor McGregor or Habib, the baddest man on the planet. So do you want to be pound for pound king like Mighty Mouse and Habib, or do you want to be the baddest man on the planet?
Yeah, well, so Sugar Ray Robinson is the best combat sports athlete ever for me. Like he is the best ever, and that's where the term pound for pound came from. It was what happens when you have someone that really is the best, most skilled person in the world, but they're not a heavyweight. The idea of pound for pound was invented because heavyweights are perceived as the greatest. They're perceived as the best. Right. So how do you look at if you took weight out of it, just skill and how someone dominates division, who's the best? So that's where that term comes from. But that term was birthed from the idea that there's already a big monster at heavyweight that we all should pay attention to. Plus, one of the things that really helps boxing and the heavyweight division is that you can go through the history and you can follow the timeline of heavyweights. Like you can really go down and, of course we've got Fury, Wilder, and Ruiz and Joshua, up there all having titles at the same period of time. But I feel like I can sit down and go Klitschko and then, work my way back to Lewis and then work my way back to Holyfield and work my way back to Tyson and work my way back to Holmes and work my way back to Ali. And then, of course, there was that little passing back and forth. But then there was the other great heavyweight era with, Foreman and you've got Frazier. Like, I just named 10 guys who were heavyweight champion over 40 years. If you can take someone's history like that, I can go back further actually. So I just don't want to be like, but like if you can do that, if you can list the history of a guy, on like your hand, you know what I'm saying? That means that the people who get to the top, it's so special and it's so rare. I think that's great for the sport. I don't think that everyone should be a champion. That's one of the reasons why people are like, there's too many titles. And PBC just recently, like, we're going to have a PBC title. That makes no sense, Now I understand what they're doing because WBC, once upon a time, just decided to be a title. So why can't we start that right now? Like, I understand that. But I like the idea that winning a championship, a world championship, is a rarity. Like, it's something that not everybody gets to do, and it's something that you accomplished your lifetime goal when you did it, So everybody's different.
No, I agree. Speaking of titles, let's move over to MMA. We got some title fights coming up, right? Got Kamaru and Covington coming up. As you mentioned, you've been working with him a little bit. I would expect, a lot of controversy on that fight week and in the press conferences leading up to it. Hopefully it doesn't get too ugly. But what do you expect from that, the fight itself on that one?
Well, it's funny you mentioned the thing about too ugly. I've been watching that, the attacks that are coming Stylebender's way right now. And when I look at it, I go, hey, it's sad that it's looking like that's going to be what we're leading into the fight with. Because in the end, once the cage locks and they say fight, that's when you're going to see who figures things out. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't mean that you can't back it up. I just was talking to someone the other day. The most impressive thing that I've ever seen in mixed martial arts ever is still Anderson Silva Chael 7-1. That's still the best thing I've ever seen in a fight. That's the time where I was like, wow, he talked trash for 3 months. He talked about his nationality. He talked about people. And he's out there whooping this guy. He did exactly what he said. And then the moment the knee came up and the leg came around the back of his head and he locked in, I wasn't even excited. I was like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden he tried to do the escape where you in triangle where you get high and you sit and you try to put your legs under the arm. And but it was too late. Like Anderson's got such a slick setup there, and then when he fell back, he extended the arm, and then the tap was so quick. I wasn't even excited, and literally when I watched it at the sports bar, like nobody cheered. They were just kind of like, "What was that?" You know, that's the most incredible thing that I've ever seen. And the lead up to that did build on what happened and the result of the fight. Like it added on to the specialness of that victory. So I'm assuming that Colby, one way or another, is going to be playing this game. And I don't know if you guys know it, but Colby will write stuff down and he'll read it before he goes out there. And then he'll go out there and he'll say it. You know, so like
don't get my co-host started. He's like, he's got a gimmick and da.
That's Kendrick. That's what it is. I don't know why you keep saying this. It's a performance he's doing.
But it's performance. But yeah, he's allowed to walk around with the real UFC fake belt in the real octagon. It's not WWE. Like, who else can do that? Have an old belt that's not a champion.
I don't understand this take you always go to. Sure. He does not own a piece of that belt anymore. He's just walking around.
Exactly, but he's allowed to wear it.
So why is that impressive to you? It's part of the character.
He's the only person that's doing that. Dana White don't have a fake belt.
He's the only idiot walking around with a belt.
They let him do it, though. They really let him do it. So it's for this character.
I don't understand why it's impressive to you or anything.
But it will.
I would be doing it though, right?
No, Kendrick. Nobody wants to walk around with a belt that they don't currently own.
Tony Ferguson would do it if he could.
No, he wouldn't.
He was borderline doing it. He was borderline.
Nah, I look at that and I look at like Dustin Poirier. Dustin didn't wear the title after he won it. I think it was just, this is my golden ticket. This guarantees that I get the fight that I want. And really the reason why they do interims is because they want all the it's for pay-per-view purposes. They want value to what fights in the end. That's the purpose of the interim.
That's a washed up model though. Every pay-per-view does not have to have a belt, a Maple Leaf BMF belt. Like, that's so 2005. It's like, you got an ESPN Plus deal. Why do you have to do that? Still, and you not even put out your numbers of what you're doing, so we don't even know if your stuff is doing anything or not. So what are you trying to hide? Like, why does every fight have every major card? Like, if they really was slick with it, they would do 6 cards that have major championships on them, and like 2 of those 6 cards would be like the one like they got coming up where they have 3 champions. So everybody's on that same schedule, and then you have in number 1 contender fights. Like, I'm not trying to say the main event shouldn't be important, but it does not have to be a title fight. It could be like a serious, like for instance, if we had Corey Anderson fight Dominic Reyes, somehow crazy reason John Jones got hurt or got suspended again, which is possible because it's happened. That would be a good main event.
I would be fine with that. It's in the end, I think your main event should just be a platform for either making much of a title or making much of 2 fighters. And I think that that's really all you have to do. But, they've got like a demo group, and they've got like people where they sit down and they say, will we have more? And we don't know what's going on with the ESPN deal. Maybe ESPN's like, well, this looks a little weak. Maybe there's just, I just know from with Glory, like when I work with Glory now, one of the things that they talked about was in their past, sometimes like when they had to deal with Spike was adamant about certain athletes being on TV no matter what, whether they came off a win or a loss or whatever. Like they wanted their hand in there. Now, I don't think that too many people have their hand in what the UFC does, but I do think that there's probably someone that says, hey, if we're going to do this deal, we need this to look a little bit more appealing, So Dustin and, Max fighting, Max moving up in weight is probably not as appealing if it just happens by itself. Maybe we throw a title in there and, it just adds to it. I just think that they must have a group that suggested that that's the model that they should do. As far as it being 2006, remember 2006, we're talking like 16 shows a year, you know what I'm saying? And now there's 47. So it's like, if people aren't as interested in, what was the main event we just had? Jacare and Blachowicz? You know what I'm saying?
God. Put everybody to sleep.
For sure. I'm not talking about the fight style. I'm saying
for sure.
That's what you said. Hey, come watch this event. This is the main event. Like, that's what you said to people. And I can see how ESPN could be like, all right, well, now that you guys have done that didn't work out. We need something of value, and the title's not ready. Or, I was surprised it didn't happen for Cejudo's situation. I was surprised that they didn't do something at 25 or 35 interim-wise because he's been out for half a year. And they've done it for people who've been out with less time. So, but we'll see. Maybe he's fighting in January, or maybe he's fighting in in March, and it's just not as long, but it feels like it's long.
Interim belts. Strike again.
I mean, listen, yeah, like I would hope at least going forward, like on the the pay-per-views, that they keep all the title fights on the pay-per-views. I don't like having like these random shows where it's like, all right, we'll throw a Valentina title fight on ESPN. Like, I mean, I get why they do that from time to time, but at the same time, like that would eliminate the need to create an interim title or to have a BMF sort of thing. Let's just keep all the title fights for pay-per-views. That's what makes pay-per-views special, is that you have a title fight.
But that would go to sport. I remember I got into it. I saw Chuck Liddell at Rampage, but I really started getting into it when I started, Anderson Silva started taking off. He fought on Spike, and he had just became middleweight champion. He moved up and fought James Sandman Irvin. And I'm like, who's this dude out here hugging everybody? That's this killer y'all talking about? 2 minutes later, that's that guy. But I would never have seen that if it wasn't on Spike at the time.
Well, the biggest problem with the a title fight in every pay-per-view is the math doesn't work out.
Right.
So you've got 11 or 12, but if each guy defends, or each guy and girl defends, you know what I'm saying? So we've got 4 girl champions, I mean, we're talking, I'm just saying if Cyborg, was still around, that would have been a 4th. But they're going to do something. Either they're going to get rid of the 45 title, or they're going to have someone else fight for it, because it doesn't look like Nuge wants to be there. So then you've got 45, 35, 25, 15. So that's 4 for the girls. So then that's already 4 pay-per-views, and we haven't even started the men. So now we've got 8 pay-per-views left for 25, 35, 45, 55, 70. And again, I'm saying only if they all competed once. You know what I'm saying? 70, 85, 205. So that gets us your 8 more. So then that's 12. So then everybody would get 1 pay-per-view and then 1 not pay-per-view. So it's always going to be tough. So that's why they've been doubling up the pay-per-views. And that's why they try to do something like what they're doing on Kamaru's card. And, it's the best that they can do. But I did avoid your first question, in the fight. I didn't avoid it. I just you brought up pay-per-view model, and then I started going off. But I do think that I'm excited to see how it looks, because anything else is, I just don't want to enter that fray. But I do feel like Kamaru is a much different opponent than he's ever had. And what you have in the gym doesn't prepare you for being in there with Kamaru, just like what you have in the gym doesn't prepare you for being in there with Khabib. Like, even if you had a person who is a world-class, you brought in Jordan Burroughs to help you prepare, it doesn't mean you can handle the type of physicality that Kamaru brings. So it's going to be interesting to see those two battle in those spots, because it's about who wins those spots. It's going to be interesting to see them fight in space, because I really believe in Kamaru in space. He is ready for this fight. He's putting in the work, and we're excited. It's just normal fight camps.
100%. Yeah, man. I can't wait for that fight. I mean, obviously, it's one of the most anticipated ones of the year for me for a lot of reasons. But I'm really intrigued just to see how it actually plays out, man. Because you mentioned the name Khabib there a second ago, and it's like Colby is kind of approaching that in a way, like with his wrestling. Not obviously like as dominant, like when he gets a hold of you, but in terms of like volume and pressure and like just being like relentless, like coming forward. A lot of people don't want to give him that credit, but just watch the man fight. He is a damn impressive fighter.
That's Robbie Lawler.
For sure. Yeah. One thing that affects him a little bit is his opposition. If you look at, Robbie's lost, I want to say 5 or 6 lately. Just he's older, so he's got Robbie coming off of losses. Normally when you're like up and coming fighter, you fight someone who's coming off a win, and somehow he gets Robbie, who's a name, but Robbie hasn't been winning. Robbie loses to Askren. Again, debatable, but he loses to Askren in January, and next thing you know, that's the one that Colby wants to fight. You know what I'm saying? Of all the guys at 170, that's the one that you work out with him. And then you look at Anyos moving up from 155. So he's had a list of guys who don't have a lot of wrestlers there. Kamaru's beaten every style. You know what I'm saying? Like he really has grinded his way up the ranks, and he's fought a lot of guys. So it's who's the English kid that they're talking about?
Till.
No.
Well, he moved up. Sorry.
Darren Till moved up.
He moved up. I'm sorry.
Kamaro beat him. I just can't think of his name right now. The black dude. Edwards?
Yeah, Leon Edwards, yeah.
Yeah.
He lost it, though.
Same thing. He's on the rise. He's moving up. And as good as he is, and you see he's got a complete mixed martial arts game, he lost 3 rounds to Kamaro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he's a talented guy, but Kamaro has really proven himself against a lot of really tough guys in the division. I'm not saying that didn't happen to Colby. I'm just saying Colby's recent run hasn't been against as tough of an opposition. And I want to see what it looks like when he gets with, Kamaro. And again, everyone's going to have their views going into it, but this is probably the most compelling fight that I can recall in years of me being interested. It's just, I want to see how their styles come out.
Does Kamaro stop him?
I'm not that guy. I'm a win rounds guy. If you have the opportunity, I'll say, hey, look for it, turn it up. But most important for me is winning rounds. And if a stoppage comes.
You're the opposite of Deontay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that, and I'm glad we got back to this, because I was gonna ask you if you were Deontay's trainer, and you saw him just kind of going out there, just floating through the rounds, no volume. Like, would that frustrate you if you were in his corner training him?
The little paw jab he did.
Well, you want to show growth in everything. Like you want to show that you're getting better. And there are little tricks that, that trick that he used to score the stoppage, I got to give credit where credit's due. That was really slick. The problem as a coach is if you're not winning rounds and you're telling him what to do, you're looking for, okay, I'm going to keep giving him the tools that he needs until he finds his moment. But I would hate to be sitting there hoping for one effective moment in 36 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Like, for me, that wouldn't be the most comfortable thing. But if you're down, there are other coaches in the world, like, if you had a style like, in terms of style, a Paulie Malignaggi type style, where you are capable of winning rounds, if someone's besting you in the rounds, you know that there's no coming back. You know what I'm saying? Because they haven't showed that ability. So it's like, what's the give or take? Would you rather have a guy who wins rounds all the time, but when you run into someone better and they start winning rounds, you've never showed the ability to stop a guy to get back into it. So after round 4, chances of us winning are going to be really, really low. Whereas a guy who doesn't win a lot of rounds, but always wins by KO, which means round 10, 11, 12, you still got the dance, So it's just, I'm still going to choose to win rounds no matter what. So that would be my work with. There'd be days where I wouldn't even have him throw a right hand. Probably weeks where I wouldn't even have him throw a right hand. I got to get this left hand cracking, snapping. So 6'7", So it's just building on that. But no matter what, while there is important to the sport, and maybe his importance is that he doesn't develop those skills and that he's only a KO guy.
I would just I would just love to see him just go out and do like the Tyson dip low and just come in with a 3-punch combo and get it over with in like 30 seconds. I would just want to see that at least one time, and then go back to being Deontay. Like do that again against Fury, and then for the rest of your career, you can go back to being Deontay in the shell for however long until you wanna crack open somebody's head.
Don't wait on that too long.
No. One last thing before we get you out of here, man. We are both going to be in Houston for the February 8th card. Early, super early, I guess. Mm-hmm. John Jones, Dominic Reyes. Is this going to be one of those where John Jones plays into the strengths of his opponent again and tries to beat him at his own game, or is he ever going to get out of that? Let me ask you that. Is he ever going to get out of that mode to where he tries to beat his opponents at what they're best at and just go out there and just, try to end it?
I think they'll make a sparring session, and I think Father Tom gonna do that for him. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to predict, but I will say the guy's had a lot of success being who he is, So sure. If something in him, it could be a mental game for him too. Something in him needs to take that away from you, because if I beat you in striking and you came in here thinking you're going to win with striking, what do you do then? So maybe some of that's mental. And now, again, I don't know what they're working, when they're cooking up in their lab over there as far as their preparation. But I do know that he liked this matchup, and there was a difference between Reyes and Corey Anderson, and they chose to go with Reyes. And I think that they're probably seeing something or something they want to take advantage of. Even though Chris Weidman is a tough, really good wrestler, what you get from John Jones is a different type of wrestling. And his ability his jiu-jitsu is so underrated. I think the most underrated thing about Jones is his jiu-jitsu. And not just jiu-jitsu in terms of like submissions and so on. I'm talking about his offensive MMA jiu-jitsu, how he uses strikes to passing and so on. He's phenomenal on those areas. He's gotten to full mount against a lot of guys. And so he is going to be a handful no matter where the fight goes. But in his game, the first concern he has is, I need this person to not be confident that their striking is going to do it. Like he said in the last fight, he said, again, how you feel about black belts and Muay Thai and all that's going to come down to what coach you talk to. But he said, yeah, it was important to me that I beat a black belt in Muay Thai on the feet. Now, of course, the Muay Thai world will go crazy when they hear that sentence, but I knew what he meant. What he meant was, I am confident enough in my ability that if the fight goes here, I'm going to have success. And if this is your best chance to win, I want to take away your best chance to win. And for some people, it's wrestling and not giving them that opportunity to get there. And for other people, especially if you believe in oblique kicks and distance and movement, like, he's gone and had a lot of success of not getting hit from some really good guys. Gustafsson is a talented guy. The second fight with Gustafsson made you think that the first fight was the biggest fluke ever, because it was a one-sided. He didn't give off any big offense. He moved so well. He was able to get the center. He's able to get his head off center. Like, he's got that going for him. So Reyes has got this is a different level. This is not like anybody he's ever fought before, and it's a big jump, because Weidman's not the preparation you would need to go against him like that. No. That doesn't mean that Weidman's not good. It just means that the preparation to go against John Jones isn't going to be seen in the fight that he had with Weidman. So we'll see. I mean, they should have Houston rocking. Like, that's a good one to look for. Reyes from the area, so crowd will be behind him.
He's from Houston?
Good boxing. That kid can box for sure.
He's from Houston, man?
Yeah, he's from. I thought he was. I thought he's from like.
Grew up around there, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he did. I just said I didn't know. I wouldn't question it. I just wasn't sure.
For sure, and I could be wrong, but I was pretty confident that that's where he's from. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I live in California.
I lied. One more.
Will you be there?
I might be working it, but it's kind of up in the air right now. But yeah, he's. I'll let you know when it's official, but I might be working it.
This is a Steveism. You know how you jump in and out of Vegas. Have you ever been to Houston and they have a card and you be like damn near Buc-ee's before the main card gets there? You know how you jump, or do you take your time that being in the home state? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, you talking about like traveling to a fight?
Yeah. Do you get out of Dodge that quick like you do in Vegas?
Yeah.
So you be like at Buc-ee's when they have the main event, head towards Dallas.
Hey, I look young, but I'm an old man. I'm an old man. I want to go home after everything. My goal is to get a win. The moment our hand is raised, I'm ready to go home. That is mission accomplished. My athlete's healthy. The other athlete's healthy. We got the victory. I'm grateful for it. I don't even watch the main event. I will watch that on TV later, unless we're stuck at the venue and I've got to wait for the bus to the car. So then I'll just go get some food and wait it out and then go. But in the end, I will do most of my meeting people and working with, holding mitts and that kind of stuff during the week. So if I meet somebody who's, a fighter who I worked with in the past who wants mitts and stuff like that, whatever, I'm definitely down to do that. But after we won the fight, I'm pretty much ready to go. So everybody's different, but that's just me. That's me. So
correction, Dominic Reyes is born and raised California, spent most of his life over in California, so correction there. Cool. And last question. I lied. I have one more question. Fighting Words Promotions, when's the next one? What's going on?
Oh, I'm looking to do February. I just had too many fights. Originally, I was going to try to do December, and then I was working some weekends, Thursday fight, Friday fight, Saturday fight. And it does take a lot of time and energy to run them, so I just didn't have the time. So February is looking like my next opening to do it. It really does require a lot. And this time I really got to focus on building sponsors and that kind of stuff. So fight card, it's just that comes and goes. Athletes are excited and not excited. And, like that's just how the game will always be. As far as competing, and you'll have fights that are good and then fights that fall out. That's the easy part of the sport. The toughest part of the sport is just having the time to do all the things to prepare, making sure people do medicals and all of that. But it takes so much time that if I do have a fight coming up, I've got to take from one to do the other. And right now we are, having a lot of success as a team. We're winning a lot. Heavyweights, both my heavyweights just won, and shoot 3 if you want to go back to Usman. And so it's like right now between everybody, we're having a lot of success every weekend. So I'm trying to groom guys to have UFC careers and accomplish their dreams. So it's like I am grateful for the fighters that I have, and first and foremost, I've got to help them to their success. The promotion just builds on that. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. So
that's that personal touch. That's why I make Mr. Steve Woodman Wright the man.
100%. 100%. But Steve, man, we appreciate the time as always, coming on and catching up on everything. And yeah, man, we can't wait to see how the next couple of months play out in the world of MMA, and of course with these big rematches with Deontay's and Fury's of the world. So
for sure, it's always cool to be on a show, and all I did was just had to pause wrestling. I'm watching wrestling right now.